Plastic has become an ordinary feature of daily life in Vietnam. Across streets, markets, and food services, single-use plastic surrounds everyday consumption. According to the United Nations Development Program, Vietnam generates approximately 3.7 million tons of plastic waste each year, or close to 8,000 tons per day. While plastic supports convenience and economic efficiency, the scale of waste generation has expanded far faster than the capacity of waste management systems to respond. To understand why plastic waste has become so widespread, it is necessary to examine how everyday consumption patterns and system design shape individual behavior. Rapid urbanization, population growth, and shifts in consumption behavior have intensified plastic use across Vietnam. Urban lifestyles increasingly prioritize speed, portability, and low-cost services. Street food vendors, convenience stores, takeaway outlets, and food delivery platforms rely heavily on disposable packaging to meet high consumer turnover and operational efficiency. According to the United Nations Development Program, plastic packaging constitutes the largest share of household plastic waste in urban environments. Lightweight bags, containers, cups, and wrappers dominate daily waste streams, particularly in large cities where informal food economies are deeply embedded into everyday life. This dominance indicates that plastic waste is generated through routine, repeated actions rather than occasional high-volume activities, making reduction more difficult because it is tied to daily habits. Survey data reinforces this structural pattern. Over 60% of respondents reported using single-use plastic either most days or at least a few times per week, while more than 60% rated plastic pollution as highly serious. This contrast demonstrates that awareness does not automatically translate into behavior change. Instead, consumption is shaped by surrounding systems that reward convenience and speed over environmental consideration. Repeated exposure to disposable packaging normalizes plastic use. When alternatives are unavailable or impractical, individuals adapt to existing systems rather than actively choosing sustainability. Over time, convenience becomes the default driver of consumption, even among environmentally conscious users. Beyond convenience, economic conditions strongly influence both consumer choices and business practices related to plastic use. Economic factors play a decisive role in sustaining plastic use. Plastic packaging is cheap, widely available, and requires no return or cleaning systems. For vendors operating on narrow profit margins, particularly in informal and small-scale businesses, plastic offers immediate financial advantages. Survey responses reflect this economic constraint. The most frequently selected causes of Vietnam's plastic problem were insufficient recycling systems and weak law enforcement, while individual apathy ranked lowest. This distribution shows that plastic use is widely perceived as a systemic and economic issue rather than a result of personal indifference. In competitive market environments, even small increases in operational cost can reduce profitability. This dynamic creates a self-reinforcing cycle. Vendors continue using plastic to minimize expenses, while consumers become accustomed to disposable packaging as a standard service feature. Economic rationality, rather than environmental preference, dominates decision-making.
Really, to me, the common use of plastic throughout the daily life of Vietnamese persons stems from more like demand for convenience and reducing costs from vendors, in the name of trying to make as much of a profit as possible, because we gotta make money to sustain our family and friends and stuff. To me, the use of plastic in sort of daily Vietnamese life isn't really a part of our culture. It's just the way that things have been ever since our economy has greatly grown, and like a lot more stores are popping up and like everyone's trying to get rich.
As plastic use becomes increasingly visible in traditional spaces, responsibility is often incorrectly attributed to cultural practices. Plastic waste is frequently linked to traditional markets, festivals, and street food culture. However, this framing oversimplifies the issue. According to Vietnam Plus, traditional markets generate over 100,000 tons of plastic packaging waste annually, largely due to modern single-use materials rather than traditional wrapping methods such as leaves or reusable containers. This indicates that plastic pollution emerges from material substitution rather than cultural tradition itself. Survey findings support this interpretation. Respondents identified streets, sidewalks, markets, and food stalls as the most common locations where plastic waste is observed, reflecting the spread of disposable materials across everyday urban environments. This suggests that traditional spaces have been transformed by modern consumption systems rather than driving plastic dependency independently. When plastic pollution is framed as cultural, responsibility shifts away from material systems, production practices, and economic incentives. Traditional spaces have become sites where modern consumption patterns manifest, rather than sources of plastic dependency themselves.
Practices should be encouraging the responsible disposal of plastic waste, because it's in our culture to be respectful and keep places clean. Therefore, really, Vietnamese people and honestly any human being in general shouldn't be disposing of plastic all over.
Of plastic waste does not remain confined to consumption spaces, but produces far-reaching environmental consequences. The environmental consequences of plastic waste in Vietnam are extensive and cumulative. According to the United Nations Environment Programme's Plastic Hotspotting Study, approximately 0.7 million tons of plastic waste enter Vietnam's rivers and marine environments annually. This scale of leakage explains why pollution persists despite cleanup efforts, as plastic inflow consistently exceeds removal capacity. Plastic accumulates in waterways, canals, and coastal ecosystems, disrupting natural processes and damaging habitats. According to survey responses, flooding caused by blocked drains is among the most commonly observed local impacts. This demonstrates a direct connection between plastic waste and increased infrastructure vulnerability, particularly during periods of heavy rainfall. Over time, larger plastic items fragment into microplastics that persist for decades. These particles enter aquatic food chains, affecting marine organisms and raising concerns about long-term ecological stability. Environmental degradation caused by plastic waste also produces tangible social and economic impacts for communities. Plastic pollution generates significant social and economic consequences. According to Pacific Environment, coastal fishing communities experience clogged nets, contaminated fishing grounds, and declining catches as a result of marine plastic accumulation. These disruptions reduce income stability and threaten livelihoods that depend directly on healthy ecosystems. Tourism-dependent regions face economic losses as polluted beaches and waterways deter visitors. Survey data reflects this concern, with a majority of respondents rating plastic pollution as highly damaging to Vietnam's beaches and global image. Cleanup costs also impose financial burdens on local governments, while informal waste management exposes workers to health risks. While the causes and consequences of plastic waste are structural, social responses play an important role in shaping future outcomes. Young people occupy a critical position in addressing plastic waste due to their demographic significance, consumption influence, and long-term stake in environmental outcomes. According to Vietnam's General Statistics Office, individuals aged 15 to 30 account for roughly 1/4 of the national population. Survey data indicates strong environmental concern among younger respondents. Many identified plastic pollution as a threat to future living conditions, ecosystems, and economic stability. At the same time, behavior change remains gradual, with many respondents reporting reduced but not eliminated plastic use. This suggests that youth awareness exists alongside practical constraints rather than translating into immediate elimination. According to the Ho Chi Minh Communist Youth Union and UNDP youth engagement programs, youth-led cleanups, awareness campaigns, and sustainability workshops are conducted nationwide each year. These initiatives help reinforce social norms and sustain long-term behavioral shifts. Digital connectivity amplifies youth influence. High social media engagement allows sustainability messages to spread rapidly, shaping consumer expectations and encouraging businesses to respond to changing demand patterns. Youth responsibility does not replace structural change, but it plays a critical role in maintaining momentum and linking awareness with collective social norms.
From my experiences, I would say the factor that motivate Hanoi Youth to reduce plastic consumption is our concern for the future generations. As I have known, I think Vietnam ranked in the eighth country for most polluted, and I think that's like a very big concern for many people, as it can make, like, leave a long term effect to our uh, future generations, and that's why the young people are acting now to prevent the consequence from happening in the future, and also that pollution also affects our economy. They have many effects on our social life and also health. And so I think that's another reason why people act to reduce plastic consumption.
Plastic waste in Vietnam is the product of modern consumption patterns, economic pressures, and systemic limitations, not cultural tradition. As awareness continues to grow, especially among young people, opportunities emerge to bridge the gap between knowledge and everyday practice.